Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by PHP Frameworks team. I am Sanjay. We are learning REST API development in PHP. This is our part 6. Inside this video session guys, we will discuss about setting headers and data for our Create API. In the last video, it means video number 5, we had made the call of our created API via Postman. And while typing or hitting this URL with the post request type, actually we had inserted some data, and those data basically we have defined as a static value right here inside this code. But now inside this video, all these data actually we are going to pass by the help of this Postman, and we will insert about the dynamic values, what value we will pass right here via this Postman. So if I back to code editor, now let's say that instead of this static name, let's say name variable, and these variables we will define in a bit seconds. Now here it should be email, and here let's say it should be mobile number. Now these three variables we have to define at the topmost position, and here we are going to define that. Now firstly we need to set some headers. On the basis of those headers, basically we are going to receive some data via Postman. So let's say that here let's include headers. Now here I am to use called the PHP function header, and inside this let's say allow, it will not be allow something called access, it should be control, and here it should be allow and origin. So we want to access from every site, means this API will be accessed by every site. And now the second header I am to set something header, and this should be content type, and let's say that application and JSON. So we are going to receive our data in JSON format. And inside this one more parameter I am to set something character set. So it should be charset equal to, and let's say it should be UTF-8. And the next header I am to set something, let's say header, and this should be allow. Again it should not allow, it's something access, and this is control, allow, and instead of origin we have to pass methods, because I want that this API means create.php should be accessible only for the post request type, so it should be post. Now here we have defined now three headers. Firstly about access control allow origin, it means every request means access this API. Content type application JSON means the data basically we want to get from our post request. So if we specify some comment along with the headers, so let's say it allow all origins, like something, if we write something localhost, let's say localhost, or any domain, or let's say any subdomain. So it is going to allow for all these origins to allow or access this API. Now it is about the first header, and the second data which we are getting inside request, and this is for the method type. So the third header is about method type. Now this is all about the headers actually we are requesting for our request type. So after setting headers, now next we have to receive the data what actually we got or we are getting via Postman. So go inside this post request type, and let's say that data equal to, we're going to use called the JSON decode of PHP function, and inside this one more function I'm going to use of the PHP called file get contents, and inside this we are going to pass called PHP, and this is the input, means this is the way to get all the data from the body section of our requested parameter. So if we copy this data variable, and let's say that print data, and if we type die here back to our Postman, And by making this post request or means create.php, firstly go to headers and let's say that content type, it should be application JSON. After setting this content type, go to body, and inside this body I'm going to pass inside this raw section, and inside here I'm to make a JSON object, and inside this we have to pass our 3 variables and something variable like name, email and the mobile, because we want these 3 variables. So let's say that name, and here let's say ABC. In the next, let's say email, something let's say abc@gmail.com, and finally let's say mobile number. So if we pass some dummy value something like this and click on send button, all the requirements are fulfilled. It's post request, content type JSON data, and this is our API URL. So if we click on send button, so if we scroll this border something here and go inside this preview, so inside this preview section as we can see is data. Again back to settings to increase the font size of editor, and let's say that it should be 24. Okay, back here. Now this is all about the data inside this object. As we can see that we have a name, email and the mobile number. Inside these are the values what we have submitted by this raw format means body data. So only we have to receive these data inside our editor and we have to save that. So if we get rid of that, and as we know that actually we are getting a standard object, so here it should be let's say data name, and it should be data email, and here let's say data mobile, and all these values like name, email and the mobile we are getting as values right here inside this object. So if we back to editor, now let's say that here just checking that if data let's say if not empty, it means our data name have some value. Again if I copy this thing, pasting it here, and again checking for the email address means it has also some value, and pasting for the mobile as well. So here in mobile we have some value. Now if I copy all the code what basically we have written inside here, got all the code and pasting inside this if block. Now here we are just going to return means after getting all the data we have successfully inserted inside our database table. Now next we have to return a proper format of message to the Postman that record has been inserted. So to return a proper format of output we are going to use called http, let's say http something response code. This is a PHP function. Now inside this I am to set our code that is 200. So firstly it is about the code what we have returned from our API, and this code basically we will see right here. As we can see that status equal to 200. So this is the status code actually we are going to return. So it should be 200. 200 means that we are returning OK value, and finally if we write echo and something JSON in code, and inside this if we pass an array, inside this array we have to set some key. So let's say status equal to 1 and message, so it should be message, and if we cut this message from here, so get rid of that and pasting it here. So all we have done with the if block. So again if I copy this data, get rid of that, and for the else condition let's say that we have some 500 HTTP response code. So 500 means that we have some let's say internal, so internal server let's say error we have, and inside this we are going to make call status equal to 0, and here inside this message let's say field to create, let's say student. Again, if I copy this code, go to this else block and pasting it here, and let's say this time let's say 503. It means that service unavailable, and here response code is 0, and inside this message let's say access denied. So if we save all these changes, now back to browser. Now let's say that this is the data, and if we back to our MySQL table, so right now inside this table only two data we have, and these two data basically we have created inside our last video. So now this time we are going to insert some data via Postman, and these are the parameters actually we have passed inside this raw and the body section, and inside header we have said that we are going to pass our JSON format data. So if I press send button, now inside here, inside this response code, as we are getting 500 internal server error, and if we back to our code editor, go at the top, so if we check about the error, and I think that JSON encode, this is something, the spelling of JSON encode something like this, means we have not written about the correct spelling for JSON encode function. So pasting it here, again back to Postman and press send button. So as we can see that we are getting response as status equal to 1, and a student has been created, and here is the status something called 200 and the OK value. If I back to our PHP admin, reload this page, now inside these data, now we are getting ABC, and this is for the second time because we have already inserted our previous data on our invalid request. Why we have inserted? Because actually the error was at JSON encode. So before going to JSON encode, it has inserted this row. So again back to our table, and let's say that if we want to change something, if we want to insert some more rows, so it should be Sunil, let's say here, and mobile number something dummy value, and if we change something, let's say this is the value, and pasting it here, send button, and I think that the record has been inserted. Back to table, reload this page. No, actually we haven't clicked on send button, so again click on that, and the student has been created. Back here, refresh this page. Now we have one more row inside this table. So now we have just seen that how can we handle our data, what data we are getting via Postman, and successfully we have inserted inside our database table. Let's say that if we just get rid of the some value, means we are going to just test our else block, means here is the else block, and if we make our request, and as we can see that we have no data, we have some error, and it is not going to insert that value inside our table. And also if we want to handle about the else condition that all data is needed, actually we have to make one more else condition right here to check all the data. So here if we go here and let's define a else block, and if we copy all the codes, pasting it here, and let's say that 404, it means that if we write 404 and let's say page not found, and if we write here that all values needed. Now if we save all these changes, back to Postman, again if we click on send button, now as we can see that status 404, it means not found, and here all values needed. So by the help of this video session guys, actually we understood that how can we handle each condition with the proper format with the REST API. So if we summarize once more, so firstly we need to set about the headers, and these are the headers basically requested by API to this file. In the second, we are getting our data from the body section, and this is the way to get all the body parameters by this PHP input, and we have stored inside this data variable. In the next, we have checked that if all values are available or not. If not, then this is the error actually we have to print. Otherwise, inside this if block, we have inserted inside our database table. And finally, according to our available conditions, we have made our available messages. So inside this video session, guys, if you went out, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session, guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.